Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Underlords Academy podcast, episode 2. Whew. Such a terrible name. My name is Sunsfan, joined as always by Zeno, Swim, and special guest from Tempo Storm, Gara. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing hot right now.
Damn, hot.
It's
That's
like
great.
50 degrees in here. But besides that, I'm doing just fine.
All right, we need conversions. What is 50 degrees in Imperial? God-awful American
Too
system.
hot, way too hot.
I feel like too hot is pretty apt.
Yeah, that sounds disgusting. How are you guys doing, Zeno, Swim?
Doing good, waiting for this patch to go live.
That's right.
Yeah, the patch is it's a long time coming. It'll be nice when we're not just getting blasted up the rear by a
It
couple.
looks so good.
All right, so it's
wait.
actually been a while since we've done our first podcast. A lot has changed. I was thinking, instead of just diving right into what the new patch is, let's talk about what the meta is currently, right? Because we can talk about that for like 5-10 minutes just to get everybody on the same page. Does anybody on here think that Mage is not the most... Okay, Swim is the only one that probably thinks that Mage is not the most powerful alliance. Correct?
I'm edgy, but I'm not that edgy. Mages are the most powerful.
Okay.
No argument from me. That's for
Gara,
sure.
do you agree with this assessment?
Yeah, but I don't think it's like that extreme how most of the public is like making it look like.
I agree.
Like, I see so many people just be like, yeah, just pick 3 random mages and it's basically a free win. It's not that extreme. They're like definitely slightly too powerful.
Right. And
Yeah.
what are...
I mean, I'm talking about you should nerf the damage by like 2,000 or 3,000, which is still slightly for mage damage in endgame. So yeah.
Yeah, actually, the changes they made are going to be pretty interesting, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. But I want to get everyone's impressions, since we've been playing now for a while, of the game itself, right? Because we have TFT. Is it released? I have not been keeping track. I won't lie.
It's soon.
Yeah, I think
Coming
it's
out
someday.
soon. Yeah. And you guys have... Gara, have you played it?
No, I watched YouTube videos and watched other streamers and didn't appeal to me yet. And then I started playing Underlords and I just liked it so much, so I didn't see a reason why I should play something else.
All right. And Swim, you've played TFT, right?
I played it. It's fine. It's a little different. I can see the appeal of the game.
Okay. Yeah. Zeno, do you have impressions on it?
No, I don't think it's for me. In all honesty, like just the fact that I have to go download the League client has pretty much stopped me from giving it a shot for right now. So
Wow. Are you a League
see.
hater? Is that what you're trying to say, Zeno?
no, I just don't want to go download like 30 gigs to play like 2 games of TFT. So
I see. Well, that's fair
Yeah.
enough. Have you guys played on
And
mobile
that-
yet? Go ahead, Gara.
I wanted to say that this is such a good point because that was also the main reason why I disliked auto chess. Like, I did play a ton of auto chess, but it being a mod made it like more and more annoying over time. Like that you always have to go to a third-party website or a Discord group, and then Discord is down, and then you can't play the game. That's like ridiculous. And basically, that is TFT now, just in League of Legends. So
For people that are not super familiar with you, Gara, what are the past games that you've been that you've delved into? Because it doesn't sound like you have any. Like obviously I know your card game experience, but I didn't realize you'd never really played Dota, right?
I did play. I'm pretty old. I started off. I was like a Blizzard fanboy. I played all the Blizzard games. I became like known in World of Warcraft. At some point, I was like the highest rated shaman in the world, and when WoW was good. And so
Yeah.
I made like a lot of videos there. That's how I became known, and that's how I got transitioned later into Hearthstone. And then I won like the first big tournament, which was the first DreamHack. Then I got picked up by a team and traveled and played for
Okay,
a couple of
cool.
years, and then that got worse, and then now I'm playing everything a bit.
That's cool.
And
I knew
played
you were.
Artifact for a while.
Yeah. Well, we won't talk about. I mean,
But we don't talk about
I
that
don't know if you
here.
know this. We do an Artifact podcast as well. You can come by anytime you want, whenever our next episode may be. But
There's just okay.
yes. No, we haven't done it. in
Yeah, are you
6
talking
months.
about brand new topics there?
No, that's all good. Okay, so it sounds like I have to say, with the rank system, obviously there's a lot of imperfections, which I guess we can talk about that next, since that is something new that wasn't released the last time we discussed the game. I have to say though, I have not grinded a game. I'm not a grinder of any. You said you played WoW. I'm sure you guys, Xeno and Swim, have grinded games. Swim's a
Long time
classic masochist, so he grinds everything. But I'm not like that at all. But I have actually grinded this game, surprisingly enough, because it's so
Yeah, I
easy
know.
to level up.
I went to sleep one day and I woke up the next day and you're still playing. You had like a 9-hour run or something crazy like that. So
That's right.
yeah, you still got it.
What do you guys think can be changed with the rank system? Because right now, if I can get to the highest rank, which Big Boss won, I guess it's not the highest of the highest, but
Yeah.
it sounds cool. Something's
It does
wrong.
sound cool.
It kind of defeats the purpose of having like 8 different ranks if pretty much like you can just grind for 3 days and get to like the highest one. Obviously, like once you get to Big Boss, it feels like there starts to get a lot more resistance to like moving up and down to like the higher Big Boss ranks. But I don't know. I think they'll change it for season 1.
For me, I'm kind of like old fashioned. I just like having like, you know, an MMR or ELO system with like, you know, I could see like attributing words or titles to numbers, but I don't know. I don't really like all this new stuff of like, oh, it like it doesn't derank, it just shows your peak.
Yeah,
It's
I
like I
agree.
don't know. For me personally, that being said, apparently a lot of other people think otherwise. Otherwise, game companies wouldn't be doing this so often because it's like the new way to do MMR, I guess.
Right. Gar, what do you think of the rank system currently? I mean, it's obviously in beta, so we're just giving our impressions.
Was anyone here Big Boss 2?
No, not yet.
Like honestly, like you can say it. Anyone?
Why
Swim, were
would
you
somebody
Big Boss
not?
2?
No, I think I'll probably get Big Boss 2 later today.
The thing
like-
is, like I was Big Boss 2 a couple times,
Mhm.
but from Big Boss 1 to Big Boss 5, I want to say this is a 5,000% difficulty increase.
Yes. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's I had like when I went from Big Boss 1 to Big Boss 2, I had to I think win 5 games in a row, and then I placed one game fifth and I dropped, and then I had to go top 4 again 5 times in a row to get back to Big Boss 2, and then I got fifth again and I dropped again. It
Oh.
is ridiculous. I can't even imagine going to Big Boss 5, how hard it is. But I can see maybe they should drop like nerf it a bit so most people go to boss, and then Big Boss 1 is still like a big achievement, and not like because Big Boss 2 compared to Big Boss 1 doesn't sound like that big of a difference. But right now, this is where the game actually starts. It's kind of like Queen, but
Yeah.
most people would get to Queen. You don't want that.
It's
Like,
definitely
if most
not
people would
Queen
be
if
Rook-
I got there, but I understand your
Yeah.
reference.
Yeah. So like, let like a lot of people go to Rook or something, and then Queen is a big achievement. I can really see that. So people lose kind of like the respect for someone who got Big Boss.
Yeah.
But honestly, wow, like Big Boss 5 is a big achievement.
Has anybody
For sure
gotten
right
that
now.
at all? I don't think I've seen any posts about that, right?
I only know people. I only know 1 or 2 people that got Big Boss 4.
It's kind of like the artifact fabled. What level can you get to in that game? Was it 75 or something?
75? Yeah.
We've never seen that. It's like at 70, it gets super hard to level up those last 5 levels. So it's kind of the same
Yeah.
system.
How long did it take? 9 months. Like this was something absolutely ridiculous. From 72 to 73, he had to grind for 2 months and win like almost every game.
Yeah.
It's like absolutely nuts.
Yeah, it's insane. So you kind of brought this up, Swim. I want everybody's thoughts on this before we get into the patch, the last topic concerning the ranks. I personally like the fact that you can't drop a badge, just because it gets rid of the ladder anxiety, which is so great in everyone's lives. I personally like that a lot. I'm guessing, Swim, you said you don't like that, correct?
That's just me personally, but I respect that. Obviously, that has to be a dissenting opinion. Otherwise, game dev companies wouldn't do what they're doing now.
Yeah, honestly, I don't really like it either. I think like kind of one of the benefits of having these badges that are visually representative of how good you are is one, like if you have Big Boss, and this isn't really the case right now, but like you want to feel like you're a freaking badass, right? Like you've earned this thing and that you're a top player. And like those should be representative of how good you are. And if you're sucking and you drop down a couple of ranks, like so be it. Then you have to be good and earn it back, right? Like at the end of the day, these should be representative of how good you are. Once you put in like enough time to kind of average things out. So
I mean, once they add like actual ranks, right? Like global numbers, then that will actually mean something, I think. But like we said, it's in beta, so we shouldn't expect much more. I mean, they've been updating the game. That's something we didn't mention actually, is the fact that Valve has been updating almost every single day. We have multiple devs tweeting every single day. I've
What a
never
dream.
seen this before. We saw a little bit from Valve with Artifact, just a little inkling of it, but now it's like complete different level than like I've been involved in Valve games for what 20 years now, since
20
Half-Life 1.
years?
It's 1999 is when Half-Life came out, I believe, or 98
There we
maybe.
go.
99, something like that.
Yeah, throw in a little CS Beta 1 reference there too.
Yeah, I'm old school. I'm really good at every game, guys, that I play. Nice dog, Zeno. Thanks
I just
for ruining the
realized-
podcast.
I'm really young in this podcast.
I muted
You guys,
some- my
you
fault.
guys are all like over 30.
How old's Gara?
Yeah,
I'm
we're old
30.
then.
Yeah,
Oh,
dude.
Nice.
I'm a baby.
There we go.
That's good.
It's about time we get some other 30-year-olds in here, you know?
You're the
We're the real
immature one on the
gamers.
panel, Swim, so it's good. All right.
I'm
So-
very mature.
Yes, very mature.
I want to ask something because I just thought about it. What
Mhm.
do you think would be better? They remove Big Boss 1 to 5 and add the numbers for just Big Boss in general, or they keep 1 to 5 and then add like ranking numbers on 5. But very few people will reach 5, I believe.
I think they add a new rank called Big Fat Boss.
Mm.
Thoughts? Hmm?
I
I'm
would
good on that.
rather it be called Huge Boss.
Gargantuan obese boss. Hmm?
I
American
don't know. I feel like if
boss.
they do, I'm done with that conversation. I think if they do like a ranking distribution that's like what they did in CS, where it's already sort of hard to achieve the highest rank, and then within that you have a top 1,000 or something like that, that'd be good.
Yeah, I assume that's what they're
But
gonna
don't have like every single player that's competent at the game be a big boss. I think that defeats the entire
Yeah.
purpose of having 8 ranks.
It's a bit weird that you have to go to Big Boss 5 and then you get ranks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's such a weird ranking system.
Yeah.
Can
I mean,
I ask you guys something?
Mhm.
Or unless you wanted to keep talking about
no,
big
by all means.
bosses.
Go
Extra
ahead.
big
what-
boss.
I'm curious, and I like asking people this. It's like my favorite question to ask people in general. But what are your guys' like hot takes, basically, in terms of like something that you think is overrated or underrated, like or just like
Okay,
in the
I
meta
have one.
items, heroes. What's up?
All right. I'm not saying this hero is amazing, okay? But coming from auto chess to Underlords, the hero is actually, I thought it was garbage, I just assumed, but is actually okay, is Puck. Thoughts?
Thought you were gonna say like Batright or something. Yeah, Puck's better.
Definitely better than before. The DPS is much higher, from what I've noticed. What else?
Xeno,
You-
Gara.
I will say, and this isn't really like a super specific hot take, but I have really enjoyed Assassins with the I don't remember the exact thing, but the Fallen from Grace or whatever it is with the humans become heartless. I feel like you can get like a lot of cool combinations. Like I was trying out like a frontline Lycan to get the Beast bonus and the Heartless bonus with Bloodseeker and stuff like that. So I've just had some fun just trying out weird stuff like that. I feel like the elusive bonus for frontline is so useless right now with the mage meta, as it were, that it's kind of allowed for some more creative, different frontline compositions. So
Interesting.
that's been fun. You don't win, but it's fun.
You never win with Assassins, of course.
I mean, I play literally every comp and every piece in the game, so I don't know. I play everything. There's
but
nothing I
what-
don't play.
What do you think is underrated?
Or overrated.
Or
Anti mages, of course. Like I've been with anti mage all the time, like full demons.
Mm.
That has to be underrated, and with elves too.
Wait, you're
I think
serious?
it's like yeah.
Yeah, I was
So
watching your
for-
stream last night. You
Oh, and
destroyed
warriors
with that.
too. I have so many comps that I've been like random hunter comps, full warrior comps, assassin comps with 3 warriors, like 6 assassins, 6 elves, Terrorblade. I see demon hunter perk, I pick it, I will get top 3.
That's
four.
sick.
Fog. I might have to try that actually. I kind of dismissed it. Although I saw on your tier list, I thought I saw anti-mage at like D tier.
Yeah, because he requires you, like, that's the thing. That's why I hate tier lists. right? It's the same with Alliance
Yeah.
tier list. There's like early game, mid game, late game. So you need to make 3 separate already tier lists just for that. And there's obviously like synergies, right? It's the same with Anti-Mage. Anti-Mage is complete garbage. But once you get like a level 3 Anti-Mage, it's also with a lot of assassins. Like, for example, Slug is the nuts if you have Mask of Madness, but without, he's kind of like meh, because he just dies. And a lot of things are like that. Yeah, like Terrorblade is also bad, Anti-Mage is bad, but if you have all the pieces together, like you have the elves, you have the perks, put it all together, then suddenly it's OP.
What's the
You get like
most?
120% pure damage or something.
How many
It's
bedfellows have you
nuts.
gotten in one game? The most you've gotten?
Only one.
Really?
I wish I had more, yeah. But then I just today finished second with, I got all demons with Terrorblade and Anti-Mage. Only finished second, but yeah, I got like, because I only had level 2 upgrades, I couldn't get any level 3 upgrade, and my opponent had like mages with 3 level 3 upgrades. It was just a bit too strong. Yeah, but it's super cool. The key is, oh yeah, item combination is Black King Bar and Terrorblade.
Oh
It's
yeah.
nuts.
Yeah, it's pretty dirty.
Like often, like I read chat all the time, and people suggest the most random things, and then you try out stuff, and you're like, wow, that's pretty cool. Or like you go to Reddit, and they're like, oh, to show like Batrider with Radiance, it stacks with Napalm.
Yeah.
I'm like, might try that. Like just be open and try out stuff. Like I'm trying to try out stuff all the time.
That sounds pretty cool.
It's cool.
Too bad Batrider dies right away though, right? You need to put him in
Yeah.
the back, I guess.
It was not good. Spoilers.
Not after this patch.
Yeah, true.
It's true.
All right, Swim. I want
I
to hear
played
your
also
hot take.
Archmage. Oh yeah,
Arc
one
Warden?
cool comp is the Arc. What is his name? The
Arc Warden?
guy. Arc Warden. I thought it was a meme all the time, but actually, when you know that there will always be mages in endgame, and you go mages too, like you counter the mirror with Disruptor and Arc Warden. Then I realized later that the good players do that to counter the mirror, because you get the Disruptor first, and then you just, there's so many broken things with him. It's like Refresher plus him, and there's like the 800 damage guy thingy, Dragon. Yeah, Dragon plus that. It's just like
so
crazy
you get
stuff.
you get the Shaman Hex right away, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, Arc Warden is
The
very
Disruptor
item
is
dependent,
nuts.
right? Like, is Arc
Disruptor
Warden
is the best
playable
unit.
without good items?
I mean, you will get good items because you play mages, right? So you, by default, late game, you by default top 2 at least, right? Like everyone says. So you will get there. You'll get like a couple refreshers and stuff. I mean, every game easy. Don't have to try. Just pick level 1 Razor, easy win. Maybe
Razor,
Crystal Maiden.
Razor feels weird compared to Auto Chess, right? Because the AoE just feels so much smaller, but he still does a lot of DPS, so I guess I can't complain. But Swim, I'm very excited for whatever the fuck you're gonna say. I'm sure it's awful, just awful. Please give it to me.
I've got a few. It's not as awful as you think.
He has a list.
No, I guess firstly, I think elusive are a little underrated right now. Like, you know, in Auto Chess Spirit, like the kind of 6 elusive comp with either completing hunters or assassins or both of them, I think is like pretty good. I also think how I tier the items, like the equipable items, are very different from most people. It's been something I've been doing a lot of math on in the last few days. I really like the gloves of haste, or the gloves that make you attack faster. And also, I suspect, I have a hunch, I haven't proven it yet, I'm going to start mathing this out and recording stuff. I have a hunch that Embarrassment of Riches is actually not that good.
Really?
Yes.
I find that hard to believe.
I need to math it out. We'll see.
Can
I mean,
you
there's
really
plenty of
math that out
situations
until you know the probabilities? I mean,
well, so we do know all the probabilities, but also it's mostly, so you take like opportunity cost of the item you gave up embarrassment for, and then you like take the top value of the item on each pack subtracted by the second value divided by 4, and then you like do that across like every pack for the entire game. And you can get a pretty close model.
Interesting. All right. Well, I'm glad you said at least one thing that's edgy, because the other ones I think are
like it's a hunch.
I think the hero, if I had to pick, that has improved the most coming over, is between Slark and probably my number 1 would be Sand King. The hero is god tier.
well, I mean, they took both of those out of the game
both of those
Auto
are
Chess because they're
chess.
garbage. So that's not a.
Yeah, but they So Sand King had basically the same ability in auto chess, just minus the caustic finale. The AI is just infinitely better in this game. He's actually stunning multiple targets, right? And Slark's obviously much different since it's a different skill entirely. But okay, so let's move on to today's patch. We won't go through line by line like you wanted to, Swim. You were saying before we recorded that you really wanted to go line by line to discuss every detail, but we're not going to do that, okay? I'm sorry. We're going to have to go over just the major points. Is that okay with you?
Thanks for sparing all of us, Suns fan.
Excellent.
My savior.
So as of this recording, the patch is not out, which I've never seen them release full patch notes without the patch being out yet, but very interesting. So first and foremost, Troll Global Item Coordinated Assault now stacks. I thought it always stacked. That makes a lot of sense now why that's so shit.
Yeah, I got 2 of those once, and it felt really bad. I was like, this there's no way this is actually stacking.
Yeah.
I also made that assumption, so that seems more like a bug fix than a balance fix.
I mean, this is like in Dota when they fixed Centaur's return, working on illusions. They just called it a bug when it could have been a feature. They just, they pick and choose sometimes. Okay, so the biggest thing is the Dragon Alliance and Knights in general have been buffed, I guess.
So before we jump
let's-
into
Sure.
all of these sweet things, I do want to touch on one thing that we brushed over. Really get into the details of every line item. They did change up the opponent selection logic, which I really did not love in the previous iteration of the game. I know it came up on Reddit a lot where you could get the same person over and over again, and conversely, you could literally be playing against someone for the first time like 25, 30 rounds into the game. So we'll see how that plays out in actuality, but I'm excited to see that change in the list, and I wanted to make sure they got a big thumbs up for that one before we jump.
But we don't
into
know what was changed.
the units.
Right?
You're
Not
saying,
exactly.
It
yeah,
just says
I'm
it
assuming that
changed.
they made it a little bit more even in distribution of opponents, but we'll see.
When I was giving feedback to Valve, I suggested they do like a pseudo RNG thing, like how crits work in Dota. So basically, like it's impossible to queue into the last person you just fought, and then like the second to last person you just fought 2 rounds ago, it's like very unlikely, and then the third to last one, it's a
Right.
little unlikely, something like that. I think that's a good solution, and I hope they do something kind of like that, something
I
comprehensive.
think the
Because-
most optimal solution is to do round robin, but random. It's only the 7th opponent you can predict, because you will face 6 opponents. Because this adds an additional small skill aspect to it.
Can I ask
That
a
would be interesting.
question before we continue the patch notes? I don't want to go off on a tangent, but remember the first episode we talked about how Valve was saying that they're working on a 1v1. Like when it's the last 2 people, it's the same board, right? Which sounds awesome. It sounds much more epic. Swim. How does this happen in TFT? They use 4 boards at all time. What happens when there's an odd number of players? Do they just play like a phantom version of somebody?
Yeah, they play like a phantom version of somebody. Yep.
Would you guys like that? I would actually. That's the one thing that, just based on watching and reading about that game, that I really like. That sounds like they could implement to Underlords. You guys disagree at all?
Nope, I don't.
I
I
think
think it's
it'd be fun.
basically an upgrade.
Okay.
It makes it feel more personal. Like so, there's one minor downside, which is that technically it will increase variance because instead of like any RNG on those boards, including like positioning RNG, you're rolling for 2 boards instead of 1, right? Because there's only 4 instances happening, and some people might not like that, but it's to such a small degree. Like if it makes it feel like a better playing experience, it's worth it, and they can reduce the variance in other ways to compensate.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Gar, what do you think about that concept?
I don't know what it does. Like, what does it mean? Phantom copy?
So think of it like this. So, well, forget about the phantom copy for now. So right now you're playing, like on your board, you're playing somebody else, but technically that board to them doesn't matter at all, right? It's not connected to them in any way because they have their own board where they can take damage. So if you're in a 1v1 situation, as an example, like at the very end of the game, you have 2 players left. You have 2 separate boards for really no reason, right? You can win on your board and lose on theirs, and it's just a stalemate that can go on, like it can extend the game. Whereas you can just be playing on one board where it's a little bit more interactive. It becomes more exciting. You're like, oh, I'm actually playing this guy 1 versus 1. Like if I win, I do damage to him. If I lose, he does damage to me. It's very simple, right?
Mhm.
So the idea is to extend this to the whole game, where there's only 4 boards at all times, and if there's an odd number of players, since people get kicked out, you're playing like similar to what it is now, where you're playing a phantom, like
I think that
the
makes
ghost version.
positioning easier to counter. Like you will see, right? Everyone will see in real time if you're trying to, let's say, position Kunkka in front of your Tidehunter because
For
he's
the
right there.
only in the
No?
last 1v1, right? That matters.
Yeah. But he would.
Because
Yeah. Okay.
think of
I
it
don't
like
know
it
if
is
that is so
now.
cool.
Like if it's now, like let's the beginning of the game, you have 8 people in the game, 4 boards. You don't know who you're playing, so you can't really change your
Yeah.
positioning, right? It's only becomes interesting when it's 1v1, or that only applies.
But
to 4v1.
even on the last board, then like you would just keep switching the last piece.
You
so
can
it
do that
doesn't
now,
get
though.
countered.
Kind
Well,
of.
no.
Huh?
There's a misunderstanding. Gar is saying Suns fan that he thinks it's like you see them on the same screen, and it wouldn't be like that, right?
Right.
Like it would be
Oh,
it's just one board happening. You're still like
no.
visually rearranging things, and you'd have to like tab to see what they're doing.
Yeah.
But it's just instead
think
of
that's-
like
yeah, I like
creating
it.
2 separate fights, it just creates one fight.
It's more spectator friendly. Also, like for tournaments, if there's like big tournaments gonna come, I
Mhm.
think that's more epic, especially like the finals of a
Yeah.
big tournament.
Yeah,
I think that's
agree.
very cool. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of downsides, and I haven't. Like, there's nothing.
I think
really.
the downside is, in all honesty, it's probably a sort of a pain in the butt for them to implement versus all the other things they have to implement.
Yeah, that's true.
Especially in comparison to like the return on investment they get out of that versus like trying to fix the game or add new, change up dragons or whatever. So
Yeah, the opportunity cost.
yeah.
Okay. So speaking of, okay, I'm gonna read the dragon stuff only, and then we'll discuss as a group. Okay? Does that sound fine to you, Swim? You
Yeah.
seem to be the one that really cares about the patch notes here. Okay. This is the coolest change by far, by the way. So Dragon Alliance now requires 2 units instead of 3, and it now unlocks an additional ability for each member of the alliance. So Dragon Knight, Breathe Fire, which is from Dota. I don't know how much damage it's going to do in this game, but it's his base skill now. So to me, that means he actually cannot become a dragon unless he has a second dragon on the board. When the Dragon Alliance now unlocks, he gets his dragon form, and he gets to transform right away. So like before.
Makes sense.
Dragon Knight hit points have been increased, so it's 1,000, 2,000, 4,000 for varying levels. And he's gained 10 HP regeneration, which is really random, although it fits his theme, obviously, from Dota. Puck. Dragon Alliance now unlocks Phase Shift, which I'm very interested to see. I guess we should explain what some of these do. So Phase Shift is you become invulnerable for however many seconds they want to put in. I don't know how that's going to work with the AI exactly. And then Viper, the
I
Dragon
think,
Alliance.
like
now
usually,
unlocks,
how it's designed is that as soon as you take damage, phase
yeah,
shift.
that's
is
what I
called.
assume. Right. And then last but not least, Viper gets Corrosive Skin once the Dragon Alliance is unlocked. And Corrosive Skin in Dota, anytime you're hit, you take damage over time. They changed it so many times. I think you get, I think it's any spell or attack does damage over time. I'm trying to think exactly. And it used to give like magic resist, but they can like implement this in so many different ways. So
Yeah.
either way,
I
very
think it's
cool
one of those
changes.
things we'll have to we'll see the exact numbers when it actually goes live for these things, but this all sounds exciting. Like I wonder if we'll see like Dragon Knight as just like a viable front line, even like if you're not going super hardcore Dragon Knight for like attack DPS. Like just throw him in there. He's tanky. You get some nice like human bonus. He breathes fire, does AoE damage. That seems pretty legit to me. So that's exciting.
Yeah,
I don't know.
honestly,
Puck and
dragons
Viper, who
seem
knows?
dragons, or at least Dragon Knight, seem like they're fairly strong now. It's a little hard to say because we don't know all the numbers, as Zeno said. But at the very least, Knights got buffed as well, which we'll cover a little later. So like Dragon
Oh, yeah.
Knight or like Knights Dragons, something in there is
Mhm.
looking pretty good.
It looks really good. Gara, what do you think?
So I play a lot of Dragon Knights. It was by far like the worst composition in the game. Like it
Yeah.
was, my goal was by the end to finish 5th, and even that was hard.
Yeah.
Like you didn't
Yeah.
even try to get top 4. It was just impossible. Like there were so many issues. I could write a book about what is wrong with Dragon Knights. It's super cool. I think it's going to be so much more fun to play because Dragon Knights required you to get 8 specific pieces every single time, and if you don't hit one of the pieces, you will not get Dragon Knights. Now you get it for 7 pieces, the full Dragon Knight combo, which is one of the fastest end game combos you can get, like
Yep.
piecewise, which is sick. And you're more flexible. You can go Viper, you can go Puck, whatever. And sometimes you don't hit a Dragon Knight, and then you can just go Viper Puck. But you can also do like other routes, right? You just add dragons into anything, which is super cool. In general, it's going to be fun. It's going to be strong. But some people are worried that, oh, cool, now you can play Dragon Knight in mages.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Nice. Mages get buffed.
I think Dragon Knight's
Yeah.
just gonna be like the most sought after piece, pretty much. At least for sure at the very beginning, but we'll see how it transitions through time.
Yeah, 4000 HP for level 3 is insane.
I mean, you're never getting level 3 Dragon. That doesn't
I
happen
mean,
very often, especially when everybody
like
wants
just,
Dragon Knight.
but it's still insane.
Yeah, it's insane.
Like-
One thing I didn't mention: Breathe Fire in Dota is an AOE damage nuke essentially, and in Dota it reduces the base damage of enemies. I don't know if they're gonna. Again, we don't know what they're gonna be implementing in terms of how close it is to Dota, but that's if they do that, that's pretty fucking strong too. So it's probably just gonna be damage, I would assume, but we'll see. Okay, moving on. This one's very interesting. So Pocket Sand, which is the assassin global item, now also slows mana gained on receiving damage by 50%, which is a buff for assassins versus mage for the most part. And Pocket Sand will debuff a random enemy within 2 cells if no units are within 1 cell of the assassin landing. Assassins are like this. It feels like you get top 3 every time you play it, but you can never get first with this fucking thing. Pocket Sands I really liked before. I didn't realize until I played it a little bit more. I thought it was just that first jump that applied the debuff. It's any time they jump around the board. So it's like a 50% chance to disarm, right? So this just sounds like it's really good against mage now and just an overall buff, I think, if you get this item, obviously.
Huge.
Yeah.
It's probably like the most,
The if you get this item part is sort of the caveat to that, right? Where it's a huge buff to the item, but not necessarily. It's a huge buff to assassins, like 15-20% of the games that you play assassins. So I don't know.
I would say like it's also will probably be underrated. Like when people read that, they're like, what is that? Like mana regen is so insane in this game, especially like at the end game. It literally comes down to who gets Tidehunter off first. Like if you have a level 3 Crystal Maiden and the other mage has level 2 Crystal Maiden, even if they have much better damage upgrades, like level 3 Keeper, and so you will win with the lower mages just because you get your stuff off first. It's mana regen is insane, and 50%, like assassins kill things very quickly. 50% is if you get like 1 or 2 seconds to nuke something longer, it's crazy. I think assassins will be really, really good.
Okay. And this is the big one that we were all waiting for. I think we were looking more for a mage / coddle nerf. For the most part, it's just coddle. Illuminate now costs 150 mana, so I think it's the only hero that I could be wrong because I haven't really looked into the difference between auto chess and underlords. But typically, every hero their ability costs 100 mana. So coddle now has the most mana needed for his spell, and his health has been decreased. Which do you guys know offhand what his health used to be? It's now 550, 1100, 2200. It's probably not that big of a nerf HP wise. I don't think. Maybe by 50 or something like that.
You know what's funny? Usually you add in tooltab that also his maximum mana is increased to 150. They only added in the patch notes that now it costs 150.
Oh, really?
So
Interesting.
he's unplayable now because he still has only 100 mana.
That's pretty funny, actually. do you guys
Keep
like this?
unplayable.
You guys like this? Let's assume that's not going to stay in the game. Do we like this nerf to Keeper?
I'm a huge fan. I think this is basically the perfect way to nerf it. I think like a lot of people were pushing for Keeper to just do less damage. I think this is a good way to balance it and a step in the right direction. I'm not necessarily convinced that I'm pretty sure this mages will still be good for anyone wondering. They're not like I don't think they're going to be tier 0 anymore, especially with knights being better as a counter. I think they're probably tier 1, and I think that's fine though. Like they're kind of designed to be competitive. And this is a good way to kind of build around it because it's sort of counterable now.
Okay, apparently his HP was reduced by 100. Thank you to Panda in the chat.
Yeah, I do
at
think like
first level.
what's pretty cool about this patch in general is like they're not just coming in and taking the one most overpowered thing and nerfing it into the ground, and then we'll just kind of cycle through, a new meta where there's something else that will just be the best thing. Like they're taking the time to be more subtle about it. They're trying to buff other alliances. They're just tweaking things just a little bit. So I think what they're trying to go towards is they're going to have an actual balanced game where hopefully we'll see more viable kind of tier one builds. So I think that's exciting. I was kind of afraid we would just see, mage damage nerfed at 6 mages down to, whatever. It'll be a 30-60 or something like that. And then they'll just become garbage and hunters will be the best again.
Yeah.
But this is I think a more subtle and nuanced way to balance things, which is I don't know, it's exciting.
I mean, what's
Also-
really important? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
You can. No, I really like all the changes so far. Like also what they did with Draw Ranger. It's so easy. Like that's what I really disliked about auto chess. Like they did a lot of balance changes that were really bad in my opinion, and changing things that are OP but still playable, still good, is difficult to achieve. Especially with mages, if you play mages yourself, it is not just pick 3 mages and win the game. Usually you really drop down to like 5 HP and then you finally got like the OP damage combo. That's like how mages are played, right? It's just not fun playing against mages and everything blows up in 1 second. I get that, but it's it's so easy to just make them unplayable now, right? Just nerfing the damage and then suddenly we'll just lose every game with mages. I really like that change. I mean, I'm a huge fan of everything they've done so far. I'm really optimistic about it. That's like another great change, right? Like you said, don't just nerf the damage. Yeah, it's pretty good.
I was gonna say something really important about this change that people aren't really talking about is an extra dimension that this game has that auto chess didn't really have, right? Which is the ability to balance things around like mana bars, which is really cool. I think that the most important thing about this change that, like I said, nobody's talking about is this kind of communicates that they're gonna start like using this identity of like mana bars more. Because right now I think there's only like 4 heroes in the game that have mana bars that aren't 100.
Oh, really? I
But
didn't even know
as,
that. Who?
yeah, so Batrider has 20,
Oh,
Axe
well, yeah.
has
I guess
50, Furion has 50, and Slaughter has 75, and now
Okay.
Coddle's going to 150. And it's really cool. Like I can't wait until they do this with a lot more heroes. And it's just an interesting dimension of balance that Auto Chess never had.
Yeah, it's very
I
cool.
don't know if you talked about like item slots in the first podcast, but that's also such an interesting idea. Like if you think about it, you will never have full 6 items on 9 or 10 chess pieces. It doesn't make sense.
This is why Luna sucks balls, right? Can't stack items on her. PA's underwhelming as well compared to auto chess.
But it also balances the game, right? Because you can't just have a troll warlord level 3
No,
with like 6 damage.
I know Swim disagrees with this, but I actually like the fact that you can only have 1 item on heroes.
Makes you
Maybe
think also so much more like, yeah, right, which item am I gonna put on which unit and stuff. I
it
think
makes
it's
it much
very
more of a
cool.
commodity for sure. Swim, have you changed your mind on that at all, by the way?
I can see arguments both ways. I think it's not something that I feel super certain about right now. I do think on one hand it increases like the build composition diversity and skill ceiling a lot, but on the other, like whenever you can stack multiple items on the same unit, and you can do this in TFT as well. And TFT and auto chess both ended up basically you just like stack one unit really big, and that's like how
Right.
builds played, right? So it
Mhm.
sort of increases diversity of strategy, but it sort of reduces it at the same time.
I think
It's a
even
hard
now,
issue.
even in Underlords, you never get 10 items, I think. I think I never got 10 items on 10 units. Just because of the perks and stuff as well.
Yeah, the
Yeah, I mean,
globals
I
are
think
usually
at
pretty good.
35 you have what 9. Even if you pick like actually usable items the entire time or something like that, so it's pretty hard to get a full 10.
Yeah, I had 10 items in a game.
Wow, look at you.
Oh God.
Well,
Oh. All right. Anyway, moving on. Desperate measures. Now that is the one where every 5 HP you're missing, you get 1% additional attack damage for everybody. Correct?
yes.
Which means if you're at 5 HP, is my math correct? You get 19% attack damage increased
Yes.
for your whole board. So now also increases mana gained on receiving / dealing damage by the same amount as attack damage. So that's essentially a free. How much mana is the That one crappy item. The 50% extra
Brooch of the Martyr.
Brooch of the. It's like half a Brooch of the Martyr. Not even half. Do you guys think this changes anything? I mean, I didn't think that was that bad of an item to get buffed needing a buff.
Well, it just makes it viable for more builds, right? Like before, you'd only want to take it for
Sure.
more heavy physical DPS. Now you can take it for mages, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on. Wicked Intent now also blocks HP regen. We don't need to talk about this too much. I thought it always did that. The only time I would pick this was against Scrappy Inventors. Have to remember to say that one.
Oh god, it's so hard.
But it apparently never worked. That's good to know that it never worked. That would explain a lot.
This just seems like another basic, just keeping the logic consistent.
Yeah. But speaking of Scrappy Inventors, Scrappy Alliance now provides 8 armor and 9 HP regen. It provides double that amount if your starting army is smaller in size than your opponents. That's very interesting. Now, before we get into this, what did it used to be? It's 8 armor, 9 HP regen. What was it before?
It's a bit more.
15 armor, 10 HP regen.
Okay. So you're incentivized to have a smaller board, which a lot of times when you're doing like Scrappy Inventors, especially like early to mid game, you're going to have a smaller board in general, right? So it's a buff in those scenarios, but a nerf late game when you get techies, correct?
Yeah, I mean it's also a little weird because the way Scrappy Inventors wants to play is if you're like all-inning them, you want to level to 9 fast, which means you have Duchess Hero slot, which is it's sort of backwards.
Yeah, true.
I'm really trying to understand the purpose of this, and I can't intuitively get it, like why they thought this was necessary. But maybe you guys have some opinions on that. Is maybe like you can't just spam a bunch of level 1s to get more unstable reactors or something early in the game. But I guess I don't know.
They wanted to nerf it. I think its play rate was too high at low levels. Like obviously
Okay.
it wasn't like the thing about nerfs is it's not just about competitive levels, right? Like the way the game is set up, like you have
That's
your new
true.
player, your average new player is gonna be like, oh, what's this unstable reactor? And then they're gonna get this in half their games and they're just gonna jam goblins. Like early MMR levels are just full of this and they just didn't want that to be the new player experience.
Yeah, that makes sense actually. So it's kind of a way of stopping them from getting out of control when they are actually ahead.
I don't think it's a nerf at all. I think it's just smart. It's balancing it. It makes people think, right? Like it stops people from just high rolling techies or like scrappies, and just snowballing, getting easy win streak because it's too strong if you high roll it. So makes it that comp weaker, but makes you play have a stronger comp if you have like less units and stuff, right? So it makes you constantly think: is it better to have less units, or should I play level up, play more units? It's more balanced. I really like it. I think it's smart. Like the keeper change or the draw change. I think it's just smart. I don't know. I don't see
Can
a
I-
downside of it.
I like that it makes you think.
Can I go off on a bit of a tangent here just for a moment, friends?
Take it away.
So Scrappy Inventors, okay? The name Scrappy. The name Scrappy. Why can't we just name it Scrapper? Because then you can say, hey, these are
Have you
Scrapper
seen the
units.
the
or-
ranking names?
Yes, I understand. I
And
like
this
the
is what
ranking
you're
name.
talking about.
Maybe we'll just get a nomenclature patch like at some point down the road.
Does anybody
Maybe.
agree with me that saying Scrappers is better than saying Scrappies?
Those
Scrappy
both sound
sounds
pretty
weird.
horrendous, dude.
Scrappers, you're crappers. You're scrapping on people. That you can. Anyway, that's
What are you, a
Scrappy Inventors
grifter?
is- No, how dare you?
Brownie's
All
kind
right.
of the same thing, right? They just have some weird names.
Yeah, no, I love the rank names personally. All
I
right,
think, I honestly I don't really like Scrappy as a name. I think it should be called like Little Dudes.
I'd be down with that.
this is something we didn't talk about in the last patch or last podcast, but I love the fact two things. I love the fact that they combined species and
Classes.
classes into just alliances. It makes it much more fluid, I think.
Yeah.
And also the fact that they, even though the names are weird, like Brawny and whatnot, it allows them to bring tons of heroes. Like, think of Centaur. Where the fuck would you put Centaur if there had the species and classes? You put him as a Brawny warrior now, easily. He's not an orc, right? So it just makes it's such a subtle thing, and it seems weird at first, but it makes so much sense considering how many heroes they can bring in. You know, I don't know about the scrappies though. Like what the I can't get over the scrappy one, but that's just me. All right, anyway, moving on. Knight Alliance now gives constant 15, 25, 35% damage reduction
Here we go.
by default alone. Wait, you still need the that means if you're not together, right? Do you still need the
No, that's.
Do you
that's
still
if
need
you're
2
not
knights?
together yet.
But you still need 2
Yes.
knights to do that.
Yeah, you
Okay.
still need 2 knights.
And an
2
additional
unconnected knights.
Okay, so you get that by default if you have 2 knights just on the board in general, and you get an additional 20, 25, 30% reduction when next to another knight. So at the highest level, you get 65% damage reduction if you're next to an ally. And they changed the AI so that they actually stick together now for the most part. Considering the changes to Dragon, I mean, Dragon Knight's probably going to be part of these Knights builds in general.
Wait,
This seems
is it
pretty
really
crazy.
like that? That's 10% less damage.
No, it's like it's added together.
Yeah, like they take 10% less damage. I think it was 55% now, and it goes up to 65. That's OP,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
It's 50% now, and it goes up to 65. I think so. Yeah, it's a huge buff. It's 15%.
Huge. That's crazy, actually. Like, how viable is it just to play mages and frontline, like, just a Dragon Knight with, like, a puck, right? Like, and you throw...
Just the puck, yeah.
And you throw, like, one other thing in there, like, whatever the heck you want. Even, like, Omni Knight, you get crazy humans everywhere. You get tons of silence. They'd be really tanky, even with 2. I don't know. Like, it seems really, really strong. Even, like, not even with, like, 4 or 6 knights or anything like that. Like, you can play, like, 2 knights frontline and, like, you know, like, mages and stuff. There's just a lot of different ways you can use, I think, both knights and dragons now.
Yep.
Yeah. I think the biggest buff is really the positioning. The biggest weakness of knights was that you have no CC usually. That's just how knights work, and you're vulnerable to all CC, and then you just get one-shotted. You have to clunk up everything, and you have no range on Dragon Knight, so you have to even clunk up further. Like Bat Rider, Puck, they have all no range. And that's actually something that I complain about because it is different in auto chess. The Dragon Knight has 1 cell longer range in auto chess, and that gives you actually the range you need to be out of Tidehunter range, stun range in endgame, and that's why like Dragon Knights are so unplayable. Like you will always get stunned, like full stunned your entire comp every single time by any Tidehunter in endgame. So this makes like Knights completely unplayable. Just that 1 cell difference makes them unplayable, I think, in competitive play. But now you can spread them all over the board. I think that's the biggest buff. It's huge. But now even taking less damage, I didn't even think of it that you take now 10% less. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, pretty strong. And then the last change for knights is CK himself, who I think Luna is by far the worst knight. Can we all agree on that? Like by far the worst knight right now. CK was probably second worst at the time, but now it's received a buff.
I disagree. I think she's OP.
I disagree. I think she's OP.
Yeah.
You think she's OP?
I pick her every
I,
time.
I don't think she's OP. But
OP.
no, I don't think. I said that because
She's strong.
She's good.
She's very good. I pick her every
So
time.
who's the worst knight then? Pre-patch.
I don't know. It depends what you mean.
Bat Rider.
Dragon.
Okay.
Knight.
Oh, back. I don't even consider. That's true. Okay, I didn't think of Bat Rider. Fine.
Bat Rider, then
Bat
Omni
Rider's
Knight.
nuts.
Pre-patch would have to be Dragon Knight, right?
It has to be Dragon Knight. That's the only answer. Bat Rider's nuts.
Yeah.
You build Radiance.
Bat Rider's
on that.
legit.
Luna
honestly.
sucks. All right,
Yeah.
moving on. Damage increase for CK from 40. Okay, we need to look at these. So let's just see the new range. It's been buffed drastically, but the range is fucking ginormous. 55 to 135 for his. That's how much damage you can do for an auto attack. Level 2 is 110 to 240. Level 3 is 200 to 480. This is, I mean, Chaos Knight, the lore, or maybe not. I shouldn't say the lore. In Dota, everything is like he's like one of the most random heroes, or used to be. They've normalized him a bit, but this is extreme levels of damage discrepancy. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
Didn't he
Gigantic
feel?
buff.
Didn't he feel much stronger in auto chess? Chaos
he
Knight.
did. And
Yep.
now,
Right.
now he's strong again. They buffed him by 30 damage per hit at level 1 on average.
Yeah, it's pretty
It is
crazy.
insane. That is.
But that's how you felt in
30
auto chess, right? When
Right.
someone had level 3 Chaos Knight, you were like, okay, I'm gonna die to this.
Yeah.
And this is pure damage too, if you have one demon, right? So
So you wonder too, like, Swim, I know you were saying like you really like Gloves of Haste as an item. It's something you can pick up early. Like a lot of times you'll get Chaos Knight pretty early. That allows you to kind of smooth out that damage with increased attack speed. Like, and as you said, like the damage is being buffed so much that if you can get a few more hits in, like you're gonna be ripping through like early game lineups pretty fast.
Pretty much. At 1-star CK, Claymore is going to be a little bit more DPS, but at 2 stars,
yeah.
Gloves of Haste is going to be better. Yeah, no, honestly, CK is just like go-to early demon pogger now. Like he'll just get places, and this is a really big buff for for knights just because it helps them actually smooth out their early game. Like it gives them a path, right? That's a really important thing for a build. It's like every time you get like 2 CKs early, you're like, well, I'm going knights now, as if they weren't strong enough already.
all right.
I also think that Quap is really good.
She's
And I think
amazing.
CK,
Amazing.
because it's the same cost, it should be like roughly the same power level. And I think he will be that now.
Oh, can I add something to our underrated list? Even though I know people think Quap is really good. Quap in Mage, this is going to be one of the Swim type statements where you're a little edgy here.
Oh no.
Quap is better than Shadow Fiend in Mage, I think.
It's not true.
That's not true.
I know
It's just
that.
not true.
So you
No
do a
way.
shit ton of damage. It's pretty much guaranteed damage, okay? Because sometimes Shadow Fiend just dies before he gets his shit off. Plus, you're distracting the enemy. You always aggro like 4 or 5 freaking people, which gives mages more time to, especially now with Coddle taking forever to get up his mana. Hey, I said this was going to be an edgy statement, so that's what I think.
It was actually better
I love
before.
Quap.
Because I had, when you told me this before, there was 10 seconds where I thought this might be legit. And yeah, if it blinks in, you pull a Coddle aggro, and you get like a weird like horizontal Coddle blast or something like that is good. Like now though, with the delayed Coddle blast, Quap's just gonna get melted, and then it'll just be a diagonal anyway. So I think it's actually worse. Your idea is worse.
Queen of
post-patch.
Pain is like an atomic bomb, all right? She goes in, she's a kamikaze,
God.
she just goes and dies and blows up. She's like Techies, basically. She's a mobile Techies.
No, sometimes she's very stupid. Yeah, she's like techies. She sometimes ultis nothing.
How
Can I also say something stupid? I actually have another dumb idea as well.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so I tried this in a game and it kind of sort of worked. I think Blink Dagger Axe is actually kind of low key.
I tried this.
So-
It's really good.
It's actually kind of low key because Axe, again, as mentioned earlier, he's on the list of heroes with a reduced mana pool. He has 50 mana, which means as soon as he charges 50 mana, he's good to cast his thing, right? So he blinks in. You got a 2-star or a 3-star Axe. He takes one volley of hits, instantly calls like 3 or 4 units, and those are just like taken out of the fight for like 2,500 milliseconds. So good, dude.
Dude, this is where I got the idea for the Quap. I tried Axe like a week ago.
Don't do Quap.
Level 3 Axe with Blink is horrible for the most part, right?
Yeah.
That's literally
Tried
what
putting
Blink is.
Blink
used.
on
horrible for the
techies the
most
other
part,
day.
too.
Dear Lord.
Yeah, Axe
That
late.
was a
Axe
mistake.
late game. He's aggroing. That's all his whole. Anyway, let's finish up this patch. New item, Pipe of Insight. So more counters to Mage. Plus 50% magic resistance to the holder, and once the first enemy has 100% mana, applies a shield that blocks 400 damage to allies up to 1 cell away once per battle. What does it? I guess we don't know what tier item this is.
It's tier 4.
How do you know?
I mean, it hasn't been. Well, it has to be tier 4. Like,
Okay.
there's just comparing it to others, there's no way it's not tier 4.
Mm-hmm.
Do we know how long the shield would apply for?
No.
Full fight, I think.
Oh, okay. Well, that's really good then. That's
doesn't
not what
say.
I was thinking. Yeah. Yeah, if it's full fight, that sounds really good. And if it's just for a few seconds, like kind of thinking it through, like I wonder if you would pop that and it would like last for 4 seconds. Then Coddle's charging up a little bit later in these fights now with more mana, and then maybe you just get, a full blast after it's over anyways. But yeah, if it's just like a little shield that lasts until it's gone, that's a really good item. And obviously another little nerf to mages.
I mean, it's not just a nerf to mages. Like, the thing is, any comp that can like box in their units at the
Right.
start, like, there's basically no comp that doesn't deal magic damage. Like, even assassins, like, you'll be blocking like Quap Scream, Morphling, Sand King. Against even like hunters, you'll block like Ravage damage. and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Like it's just a good item. It's pretty solid.
There's probably
Okay.
almost no builds actually where 400 magic damage, wouldn't occur right at the beginning of a fight
Probably
late game.
warriors, but
Even
like,
then with like Kunkka boat or something
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that. Either way, it's good.
Okay. Final
it's-
item.
it's-
Oh, go ahead.
I think it's also smart to balance the. I'm here, guys.
Hello.
It's smart to. It's smart to balance the game, right? In this, let's say a comp is too strong to implement items and perks that helps you counter that comp, so you can basically play still whatever you want, right? If you're like prefer assassins or hunters, whatever. But now you have like ways with your favorite comp to counter these current quote unquote OP comps. I
Right.
really like that.
Yep. And last but not least, Boots of Speed. I would say arguably the worst item in the game, but I think it's pretty much a consensus.
It's
so
not arguably.
inarguably the worst item in the game. Has
Better.
now been changed to Tranquil Boots, which gives a passive 16 HP regen and 100% move speed. Actually, how much move speed did Boots give? Was it 50? Am I
100?
wrong?
100, yeah.
Oh, it
doubled
okay.
it.
So that's the same. So it gives 16 HP regen. That's what you're trying to say. Thoughts?
I don't know.
Good.
So I did some mathematical analysis on this for a bit when it
Tier
when it
1
came
still,
out.
by the way? Are we doing
Yeah,
that?
it's tier 1 still.
Okay.
It's gonna be okay. It's pretty average-ish in my opinion. I think it's like less good than like VIP Booster or like the DPS items. It'll be honestly on the low ends of the tier 1 items in my opinion, but you will still pick it over some things. Like I think it's better than Brooch of the Martyr and Cloak, for example.
I mean, 16 HP regen, that's like double the Goblin Mech. Ugh, Scrappy Inventor in the early game, right? For 1 unit, essentially, just for the regen side. I don't know.
I think
It's interesting.
what it at least does is make you play around with movement speed. Before that, I would never pick boots. Even if I have boots, I wouldn't by default just not equip a hero with it.
I
How
Just
much
will
because of
faster
point.
do people get with boots? I haven't even tested it.
It's only
honestly.
Bloodseeker, but
Yeah.
yeah, that's
I will say Tranquility Boots on a level 2 Bloodseeker.
Are you going to
is
call them Tranquility
really-
Boots from now on?
What are they called?
Tranquil.
Tranquil Boots. Sorry. Tranquility Boots. It's on a level 2 Bloodseeker is actually just going to stomp the first 10 rounds so hard. It's ridiculous.
Is that better than Mask of Madness, though?
Maybe not. It's funnier.
Well, it's a
but
different
Mask of-
tier.
but yeah,
Well,
exactly.
sure.
It's a different tier.
So it's the poor man's Mask of Madness.
Yeah, it's a tier 1 versus the tier 2 item. So
Yeah, okay. That gives you an extra opportunity to get an item on Bloodseeker because it's usually Mask of Madness or nothing, right? For the most part.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think it's so genius. There's like so many levels to it because the way how the game is, right? If you go perks early, people will usually go for losing streaks. But there's so much. For example, what I notice is like, especially in higher games, is like when you go bright stones and get the damage items. Like this helps you so much get win streaks, even if you don't get like lucky level 2 upgrades, just because the items are so strong. That there's like more powerful tier 1 items that help you just on average get compositions, whatever, to get like win streaks and stuff. It's awesome. Then it's just you get unlucky, get like freaking boots of speed, do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's good for the game. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, just sounds like more balance overall. So always a good thing. All right, I think that
What
does it.
was the other completely useless tier 1 item? There's like 2 that you can get all the time.
The other one
Boots
is
and-
Strange Bedfellows.
No, not that. That's OP. That's OP. Pick it every time. No, there's something. There's 2 boots and something else you can get.
Claymore,
I think it's one. It's Warlock perk. The Warlock perk. I don't
Soul
like.
Sucking Siphon.
Warlock perk
Yeah,
is so
I
much
like that
better
one.
than Strange
Yeah, I like
Bedfellows.
Soul Sucking Siphon.
So much better.
Yeah, nothing
Well-
was on the same level as boots. Let's be real. That's on a tier of its own.
Oh yeah. What do you guys think about the human one with 50%? I never picked that. 50% less.
Is that
Maybe
wicked
it's not
intent?
so bad. Yeah.
That's it's very bad.
I think it's
I never
situational,
picked it.
right? Yeah, it's not. Sometimes you just have shitty choices.
Like I
Well,
never
if-
picked it.
you have no other choice. The
Yeah,
other two
no
options
other
are
Yeah,
boots.
exactly.
Yeah, you lost to creeps and now you have to choose it. That's the situation.
Hey, it works. I don't know if you know this. It works against regen now, so that means it cancels out boots of tranquility, as you call them, Swim. So big counter to tier 1 items. Just saying. Okay. That about does it for this podcast. Do you guys have any last words? about the game, about your lives, about anything?
I just want to
Yes.
know, like, before we wrap up this patch, when this actually goes live, like, what's the first thing that you're gonna force?
Dragon
Because everyone's
Knight.
gonna force something. Now, other
Dragon
than
Knight.
Dragon Knight, like, what's something a little more fun than that?
Dragon Knight.
What are you looking forward to?
I do like the 6 mages with the like dragon frontline. Honestly, like pairing it with like Omni Knight or Loa is really good in that slot.
Mhm.
Loa.
Hmm?
You're
What do you
trying to
say?
just be always so edgy. Lord of Avernus? Who the fuck calls it Lord of Avernus, dude? Come on. Did
The
you
cool
even play
people,
Dota 1?
Clearly.
Pairs with Lich for undead, you know, it's so it can actually fit into that.
Let me tell you guys Swim's strategy here, okay? In life.
Oh,
So
dear.
he never played Dota 1, unlike me, okay? But he calls things Dota 1 names to make himself sound cool. So that Loa? Nobody even in
That's
Dota
pretty
1
sad.
called it Loa, for God's sake. That's like the weirdest one by far. Like
That's
other
the
ones
saddest
are
thing I've
okay.
heard all day.
Guys, I don't know how else to be cool.
We should end this podcast.
It's truly the struggle. Gara, what are you looking forward to?
I never fuss anything. I think that's the best way to play the game. If
Yeah.
the game is gonna give me Dragon Knights, oh boy, I'm gonna go Dragon Knights. But if the game is gonna give me a freaking level 3 Bounty Hunter, level 3 Bloodseeker, I'm not gonna go Dragon Knights, I'm gonna go
No, that
Assassins.
sounds good to me. So, how about you as we wrap up?
I literally am just gonna steal Swim's answer. I want to go mages with a little.
That's
Yeah,
interesting.
figured.
Now I want to go
really wanna
mages
try
too.
that.
Okay, I take it back. I'm
So
gonna go
mages are
Ironically
back,
enough, after
guys.
forcing mages like every game, but
Gonna
Did you
change
miss
my mind.
mages? Well, there'll be more now, so enjoy.
I really want to try mages knights with a little dragon action.
Sounds great. All right, so thanks for watching, guys. You can find us on the YouTube channel, Underlords Academy. The podcast itself is available, should be on all podcast formats, so Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts. Thank you, Gara, for joining us
Yeah, thank
today.
you.
Appreciate it. You can catch him on his stream. What is your stream? What's the actual
Twitch,
thingy?
the people know. The people know.
If you don't know him, you're a loser.
TV,
That's what he's trying to say.
Kind of a big deal, Suns fan.
Yeah, he's a pretty big deal. All
I'm
right,
kind of a big deal.
all right. Thanks for
same.
watching, guys. Until next time, signing out. Goodbye.
Peace.